Hi, so today I want to share with you a quick way that you can deal with some of that anxiety, that underlying buzzing, alphabet soup anxiety that might be going around in your head. This is called the 5-minute anxiety trick. And I'm going to use an example from parenting. So this might relate to some of you moms and dads out there. Um, there's sometimes like this low level baseline anxiety that we feel about our kids when they're going off to do something and we're not there. So for me, it's been about summer camp. So I've signed my kids up for summer camp, and they go off for 7 hours, 7 hours away from me, and um, I have this feeling, and it's kind of like if I were to name it inside my body, it's kind of like a clenching or a rolling in my gut or like even like a tightness in my chest. And I've talked to some other parents, it's summertime. And so I've talked to some other parents who are feeling anxiety about their kids going off to maybe kindergarten next year or starting back up at in-person school. A lot of people have been off. Their kids have been home, they've been virtual, they've been homeschooled, they've been in some kind of weird mix. And then school's coming up in a month or two, and we may not even be quite putting our finger on like what it is that's making us feel that clenching. But every time we start thinking about school or we get some kind of thought triggered by a show we're watching or a meme we see on social media, we start to feel that like that buzzing, that tightness, and it's anxiety. So the 5-minute anxiety trick goes like this. First of all, take that anxiety and separate it out from yourself a little bit. So instead of saying, oh, I have anxiety, I'm anxious, take it one step out from yourself. I'm experiencing anxious thoughts. I'm experiencing some worry. So it's something not that you have, that is you, that's your identity. I'm anxious, I have anxiety, but it's separate from you. I'm experiencing it. So take it out here for a minute. It's a little bit easier to look at when it's not our identity, but it's something that we are experiencing. So sit it outside from yourself, and then feel what it feels like to have that experience. Is it in your head? Is it in your heart? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your throat? Is it like an overall shaking? Is it sometimes like a dullness where you're just like, you can't quite escape this helmet of thought? I felt it like that a lot of times. So feel how it feels. And then the hardest part about it is to pull the words out. So pull that sentence out. What is it? What is the sequence of words that is rolling around in your head that's causing you to experience these feelings of anxiety? So I'll do my example. So for me, it was when my son goes to camp, I'm worried that he is not going to make friends or that he will experience some kind of social issue and he will be uncomfortable. The thing about anxiety is it's different than fear in that anxiety is looking at some future event that hasn't actually happened. And so it's a story that we've made up in our minds. Like fear is when something is really currently happening to you right in that moment, right? Like, oh my God, a rock is falling on my head. I need to jump out of the way. Fear, our adrenaline shoots up, our cortisol, like we're getting a fight or flight mode and we save our own lives. But anxiety is when we take something that hasn't happened yet and we create the story around it to give our bodies that same physical reaction. Like, my son hadn't even left for camp yet. I don't know what's going to happen there. Like, I've made up this story that he's going to go there and have some sort of negative experience, but it hasn't even happened. And so my body is going into the same physical reaction as if a rock were falling on my head. I need to jump out of the way. My adrenaline's up, my cortisol's up. That's what gives me those shaky feelings. My brain is like rolling around with this story that it's trying to create. And so if I pull those words out, I am worried that my son is going to experience some sort of negative social interaction and have a bad time or a negative experience at camp. Okay, so that's the story that I've told myself that's now causing me worry. All right, I pulled that sentence out. Now I'm going to take a look at that sentence and realize, first of all, that it's a story that I made up. It hasn't happened yet. And instead, I'm going to flip it to the opposite of anxiety, which is anticipation, joyful anticipation. Again, this is looking ahead into the future, something that hasn't happened yet, and I'm going to put a story around it. But the thing is, I get to choose what the story is. So instead of choosing that negative story, my son's going to have a negative experience, I'm worried about it, I'm going to choose a more positive story that provides me with a joyful anticipation. So I'm excited to hear how my son's day went at camp. I am excited for the new experiences that my son has available to him at camp. I am excited to see what my son learns and what new friends he might make at camp. Neither one of those things has happened yet because he hasn't gone, but I can choose which story I'm going to focus my thoughts around. And if I choose joyful anticipation over anxious worrying, then it can free my mind from rolling around in those thoughts. Okay, so I've written a new sentence. I am excited to hear about the experiences my son has at camp. Now my job is that whenever that old worry comes in, because if we've been spending our lives and experiencing anxiety, like we're used to that. That's what our brain is used to doing. And I like to say it's like pushing a bruise, like we know it hurts, but but it's a familiar And so whenever that anxious thought comes up, I'm worried about my son and that's going to happen at camp, I have to make the conscious choice to say, wait, I wasn't going to do that thought. I have another thought over here that I've already written out. I know what it is, so I'm going to choose that my brain is going to go to that thought instead. And wait, I'm not worried. I am excited to hear about the experiences my son had at camp. So when you're feeling those kinds of anxiety thoughts, you have the ability to change them. So real quick recap, 5-minute anxiety trick. You're feeling that kind of stuff. Take it out from yourself. I am experiencing anxiety. 2, what does it feel like in my body? Am I clenching? I'm foggy. 3, hardest part, pull out those words. What is the sentence in your head, the best you can, that is causing you to experience that anxiety? Pull out those words. Write them down if you can. When you see them in black and white, sometimes you go, that seems so silly. Okay, pull out those words. And the 4th one, the most important step, is to take that sentence, that anxious sentence, the worry sentence, and flip it around to a positive, joyful anticipation sentence. So that's your 5-minute anxiety trick. And then you got to remember that when it comes back, go back to your joyful anticipation sentence instead. It takes practice. It's not a one and done fix. Never been a good snapper. But this, if you keep at it, you can shift from that constant anxiety to a place of more calm positivity. Love you.